we can do, so hopefully everyone had good discussions. Breakout 2 room was great. Um, and so what we wanted to do in the last 10 minutes was just to very briefly summarize how the breakouts went and leave you with a few concluding thoughts. So Tom, since you were breakout room number 1, do you want to give us a quick couple of minute rundown of how that discussion went? And I at least don't have any more slides, so you will have to just look at me, I'm afraid.
No, I definitely have no more slides. We had a very, very good breakout session. Um, we started out with the actual questions that were conveyed on the workshop website. And we started out by trying to understand what kind of samples to take and where to take them. And we had a very good discussion about, what level of temperature needs to be with these samples, and whether or not there's going to be volatiles that are lost during the sampling process. We got into discussing the role of humans and the spacesuits in particular with regard to potentially contaminating the volatile inventory, or just the overall PSR regions where this is happening. We discussed a fair amount about the source term of the volatiles, and we had a really good discussion about the role of volcanism versus cometary impact, and trying to understand what is the source term for the water, and the importance of the sulfur inventory, and some of the work that was presented that implied that a significant amount of the water was due to volcanic activity, ancient volcanic activity. And there was a very, very good discussion about how to do some sampling, particularly in the pyroclastic regions, with an emphasis of understanding what the grain size distribution is, because that could help a lot in some of the ongoing modeling efforts. And some of these things may not be already in the sampling campaigns, but probably should. So we also mixed sampling volatiles themselves versus sampling some geochemically important areas that would sort of help us unravel what the source terms were. Then we discussed some technical strategies for doing this, some of the particulars with regard to the technical issues. And we did have a pretty good conversation on suppose there is a lot of H2S or formaldehyde or things that are known to be toxic and are known to be problematic from a material stability point of view. And so we had a view on how to sort of deal with that, or how to integrate our thinking with regard to what the NASA sampling protocols are already being planned. And I think, that's a pretty good overview. I will be summarizing these, getting together with Ariel and getting all of the written comments and questions, plus all of my notes, plus all of hers. And we'll summarize this. We'll summarize this in a written document, and then we'll also summarize it in a couple of overheads, I guess, because you and I may be giving a very short overview. So that's it.
Awesome. Okay. And breakout 2, we also had an excellent discussion, but our focus was on the polar environment and the PSR environment. So what do we know, what do we not know, and how do we operate in that new operational environment? So we touched on several different things. A few of the topics that came up in terms of the operational environment were temperature varies so dramatically at the lunar poles, over small spatial scales, and also over diurnal time scales. So how do we build systems that can survive and operate and do useful science in that kind of thermal environment? We talked a little bit about challenges associated with the nature of the terrain at the poles. Because it's so rugged, there are challenges with Earth visibility when it comes to communications. Illumination can be challenging for navigation and also for scientific imaging. We talked a bit about the nature of the ground itself. So both geotechnical properties, how do things like the slipperiness of the terrain depend on both temperature and volatile content? How easily do rover wheels or humans, how easily can people traverse that terrain? Are there challenges associated with slipperiness and so on? We touched briefly on challenges or environmental aspects associated with charging of the regolith. We didn't go into this in depth because of the range of expertise that we had in the room, which was sort of mostly focused on different aspects of this. But we did talk a little bit about the electrical environment as well. We also, just looking down at my notes, some of the other things that came up were, and this might be something that the rest of you discussed in Breakout 1 as well, but we talked a little bit about other potential considerations, especially when it comes to safety around whether the kinds of volatiles you might have in the regolith might be corrosive or hazardous to human safety in other ways. And so we touched on several different things. And so like Tom said, Donald and I will be getting together as well and working on writing this up over the next few days or weeks or so. And since I have the mic, it looks like we are almost at 5 o'clock. So that's the end of what I think has been a really genuinely enjoyable afternoon. And so, so thank you so I do want to do a few thank yous. So in no particular order, first of all, thank you to all of our speakers for making the time to participate in this, and for everyone else who attended and participated in discussions and asked questions. All of you gave wonderful presentations. They will be recorded and made available. And we hope to continue this conversation going forward. And all of you are what make the science tick always. So thank you for making the time for this afternoon. The organizing committee and the program committee, you can see all of their names on the website. They have all been fantastic. Just a few shout outs because I don't have, because it's not an Oscar acceptance speech. I will give you all more detailed shout outs when I get my Oscar, but just a few shout outs. Kelsey Young put together the first virtual edition of this workshop, and so Kelsey's input was really invaluable in putting this together. Sarah Noble and Kelsey Young have both been managing your slides seamlessly today, so special thank you for that. And thank you to everyone else from the organizing committee as well. LPI and Survey made the technology happen. Special shout outs to Debbie Mitchell from LPI, who did a lot of the emailing. Survey, we have Ricky, of course, who's been making the WebEx do its thing. Christina Gibbs has been doing a lot of running around behind the scenes to make sure that everything went as smoothly as it did. And in terms of next steps going forward, actually, Kelsey, did you or Sarah or someone else from the organizing committee want to just remind everyone else of it? Well, yeah, actually, we're not even done yet. This was day 1. We still have day 2 coming up tomorrow. Day 2 will start at 11 a.m. And we'll focus on sampling in more depth. So certainly don't forget about that. But and I know you would. But Kelsey or Sarah, did either of you want to say a few sentences to close things out, and address anything else I might have forgotten, and Tom as well?
I'll just put in a shout out for the 2 weeks window that's open right now to provide comments on the reports that were generated from the tools and instruments session back in May. Shameless plug to provide me with comments so I can beef up the quality of those 2 reports. They're made available on the Lunar Surface Science Workshop website that Survey was kind enough to put together. So just a reminder that that's still open until next Wednesday. But Sarah might want to say a few words from the headquarters perspective. Thanks.
Yeah, I just want to quickly thank everybody who stayed till the end, all 82 of you who are still here. Thank you all very much for participating all day and for joining us for the discussions. And I look forward to tomorrow's discussions. Yeah, as Parvati said, it starts at 11 tomorrow, not noon. So you got to get up slightly earlier. But please do join us, and look forward to seeing you all tomorrow.
And I have one thing I want to say, and I want to thank Parvati for a tremendous amount of effort she put forward in this. She did most of the interfacing with the committees, and she did a really, really good job. So thank you for all of your effort.
Yeah, and thank you, Tom, and thanks also to Ariel and Donald who've been helping, who've been doing much more than they originally signed up to do. So thanks to not just to Tom but also to Ariel and Donald for handling the sessions and for taking some really excellent notes. And so with that, I think we're going to call it a day. So have a good evening, everyone, and we will see you at 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow.